of the leaf will go out, but what it looks like on dogwood, especially towards the top, is they will all sort of meet at the tip. So it's kind of a good way to identify it. But we'll probably find others along the trail.
Are the berries edible?
No. Well, yeah. I mean, anything is edible once. No, we don't really eat them. They're not really going to cause a problem, but they're not really super valuable for anything in particular. But we will use dogwoods to help with like arthritis and certain types of pain management. Actually, I don't know for other. There's different species of dogwoods. There's red ones. There's gray ones. This one. There's flowering dogwood. Like we're in the Carolinian forest now, which is like a little bit out of my territory. I'm from a little bit more north, where things are a lot more predictable. Here in Carolinian, you could get anything that grows like just before tropical forest begins. So it's a really there's a lot of plants here that I don't know about. This kind of dogwood being one of them. But the red oyster dogwood, which is usually more common, I'll probably find some later today, is what I'm more familiar with. And so if we use that one for arthritis and things, so you could make tea, or you could cook it in oil and then put that on where you have arthritis to really help. We'll probably talk more about that later. But I just kind of wanted to, like, there probably will be other really cool ones, but I was just talking with my wife yesterday. I was like, telling her where we're going, and she was like, you should just teach them grow cool stuff like like I used to, because I focus so much on like chronic disease and working with health professionals and making sure that we get some of the main medicines. And she was like, you should show them some of the cool stuff, like you don't even talk about that anymore. Like one that I used to show everybody is like a stick or any kind of tree that when you break it, that it is fibrous. You can just kind of cut the tip off, and then you just chew on, if you just kind of nibble on the tip. So give me a second. It's always a little awkward. What? But when you chew on the tip, you kind of just are breaking the fibrous parts, and it sort of turns like into like like a little brush. And the more you chew on it, the kind of finer it becomes. But birds. Yeah. So, and then if you keep chewing on it, is it a starling or is it it's really weird, because everywhere around the world, every indigenous culture all has the same sort of process for taking care of their teeth, where you don't really brush your teeth like ever. Usually you'll have these chewing sticks is one thing, and any stick that's fibrous, when you break it, you could sort of just chew on the tip and make like a little brush, and you could soften the brush on your teeth, like, because it's very, very stiff. And so usually you'll just carry these around for a couple days, but you use it like a toothbrush, and you kind of brush onto your tooth, so from your gums onto your tooth. And once this gets soft enough so it does not rip up your gums, then you could start sort of massaging from your gums onto your tooth. And so it kind of does two main things. It pushes your gums onto your tooth, so you're not constantly brushing and pushing them back and exposing important parts, vulnerable parts, and then you get caries, cavitation on the lower part, and then your roots and then it's like the infection, and so you get teeth removed. So you push your gums onto your tooth with the brush, but more importantly, what you're doing is you're mechanically pulling blood, moving blood. So one of the things about your gums in your mouth is there's only 3 types of bacteria that can build up in your mouth and cause like an infection that can cause cavities and caries and these sorts of diseases. And the only thing that pulls bacteria out of your mouth is blood. It's not like when you brush, all you're doing is moving the bacteria around. So the way that this works, okay, so just like step back for a second. The way that this all works for almost every problem in your mouth is when we eat sugar or sugar containing, like carbohydrate, there's bacteria that live in your mouth that will eat the sugar and poop out acid, like lactic acid. And that acid wears away at the enamel of your tooth. And if those bacteria are in the same spot for too long, they'll eventually wear a hole. And then you have a cavitation, a cavity, and then the infection sets in, and then you have to get the teeth fixed, removed, whatever. So this is kind of like where most of our oral problems come from. So we brush our teeth, and all that does is move the bacteria so it's never in the same spot. That's all that it does. And there's this book that every dentist who has ever gone to school in Ontario and probably around the world, they have this one like Bible of dentistry of DDS school, where in the first paragraph it says that the reason dentistry must exist is because we eat carbohydrate, because we eat sugar. And so almost every non-genetic oral pathology problem that can happen in your mouth is caused by eating carbohydrate. And so we need to be sort of moving that bacteria around, but also massaging your gums, that is moving the blood around, because blood will stagnate in your gums, especially if you're not chewing on things anymore. If all of your food is like nice and processed and soft, then you're not really crunching on things and moving those things around. This is why like in most indigenous cultures, the kids are always given the fun parts. So like the animal, the gristle, this is always for kids. And then when you get older, Inuit culture carries this really well, or really strongly, where all of the young people and the old people get all the gristle, they get all the eyeballs, they get all the bones to gnaw on, and because when your teeth come in, if these teeth are rotting, if your baby teeth are rotting, then your adult teeth come in rotten, and so you got to keep those baby teeth. It's really important that they're really, really healthy. And then as you get older, there's more chances of this kind of oral diseases to begin, and you don't want to lose your teeth. So the older people are given these crunchy bits to keep the blood moving and in their mouth. So most cultures around the world have these little brushes that we use just to massage our gums, to be constantly moving the blood around, taking any infection away. So it's a really good way to keep your gums clean. And then when you go to the dentist too, you're not like a big massacre scene, because everything is used to being stressed, and so you can go for a good cleaning, and then they'll be like, "Whoa, ever strong," even though, yeah. Anyways, so these chewing sticks are really good, and like for brushing your teeth, you just have these little sticks. They